Good morning, everybody. I'm David Baber, and welcome to Ideas for Library Activities using the Computer Stand. That's a mouthful for a title, isn't it? Couldn't be a little more creative, I guess, to come up with a shorter title. But hopefully, we'll be able to have some activities here that you can take along with you and use for. And these are while these are geared for library classes, these could be adapted for other classes as well. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a ITRT for Washington County, Virginia schools, and before that, I was a library media specialist in Tazewell County schools and worked in the libraries at Emory and Henry College and King University for several years. That's how I got into education, and there's where my library background came from. And so I thought I would make some things here that you could use in the library classes. And now there's been a push for all these new computer science standards, and the VDOE just updated them this past June. We had been using standards from 2017, and the new standards just came out. And so I've updated this activity to reflect all of the current computer science standards. So if you're up for it, some of these will be interactive, and if not, I'll demonstrate the activities to show you how they work. So I have 10 activities that cover a different wide range of grades from K through 12. And each activity, I'll show you what grade level it's appropriate for, and show you some of the computer science standards that are covered by that lesson. We won't go into all of the computer science standards because that in itself is a whole separate session. In fact, we've had one here on computer science standards that was a very good one that explained how the new standards work. So I'll go ahead and get started. Now there's a bit.ly link in the chat. This is for a Google form, and if you wouldn't mind to fill that out, that way I could have email addresses, and then if you like, I can share new additional resources with you, because I plan to keep expanding on the presentation, and I've also got a website that I'll share link to that one as well with you a little bit later on that also has this activity downloaded in it. So there's a short bit.ly link for the Google form, and it is in the text chat. If you don't mind to fill that out, I can send you some additional resources. So the computer science standards, like I said, we'll just touch on some of them there. Here's the link to the website at VDOE. You can access all of the 2024 computer science standards K through 12. And they have changed the way that they do by grouping them into 6 different categories, and like categories like cybersecurity, algorithms and programming, and data and analysis. And most of these activities will probably fall under the algorithms and the data groups of standards. So, all right, now briefly, here are the activities that we will be covering in here. And like I said, there's 10 of them, and I grouped them briefly in order by grade level, starting with the lowest grade and going all the way up through 12th grade. All right. So starting off, we'll take a look at our first one here. And these are a little bit out of order right here, but I'm going to start with the technology concentration game right here. So how many of you, are there many of you that remember the game show Concentration that used to air on TV? Alex Trebek hosted it back in the 80s and 90s, and there were other versions on before that. Well, I created a template on concentration, and I used this with my students when I was teaching technology classes at one of my schools, and this activity was a good review on the pieces of technology that are covered in our classes. So in the way the game concentration works, you have a board with 25 squares, and behind each of the squares there are matching pairs of words, and you have to call the numbers out and try to remember where the squares are, where the particular items are. Now, what I did for this one is there is a word for the particular object. It might be a Chromebook, it might be a laptop, something like that. But what your job here is that you have to find the word and then find the matching picture behind one of the other ones, one of the other squares. So this template right here, I download. If you, whenever you want to use it, what you can do is download this from the PowerPoint. So let me download it very quickly here, and I'll show you how this does. So you can click the game board, and then we can open it up. And if it doesn't want to download on here, I'll just open it up very quickly from the bottom here. Let's see. Let the template download. Put the directions in there too. You'll want to download this activity to your computer in order for the game pieces to work, because the actual squares will flip around on the activity, but if you don't download it to your computer, the interactive part won't work correctly. So we'll download these here and get this game underway. And it always takes a moment to download. Okay, here we go. All right. So when you get it downloaded, you can click the Save As soon as that appears. And then as soon as you save as, it'll open up on your computer screen. Hmm. Yes, I believe so. Well, if that one won't download, I can pull it up a little bit quicker on this other. I can go off of this. Okay, let's see. There it is. Let's see if I can get that to work. Okay, there we go. All right, so you notice right here it says you don't have permission to edit this file. So this is a view only right here. So what you'll do is go to File, Save As, and then download a copy to your computer. And that way you can have a copy of the template and everything will be interactive and work. I believe for the next activities, I'll just open it up straight up from the computer. That'll be a little bit faster. But that way you've got the gist of how this works right here. Okay, so it's downloading a copy of it right here. Might be easier just to do it straight from the computer. Let me briefly go over to this screen for just a moment, and I can pull it straight up this way. All right, now this should work right here. So the way this game works is you call a number and try to find a matching pair on there. And so what I'll do is I'll just demonstrate the game right here. Let's say, for instance, you can divide the class into two teams and have somebody take a turn calling, and they say, okay, I'll pick number one. So you click it, we have a Chromebook. So now we try to find the matching mate over here, which will be the picture of a Chromebook. So I'll say, let's say 14. Okay, so we have an Elmo document camera, and that's not it. So you would just click them and turn them back over. And then you can find, okay, there's a cursor. And let's see what's under 12. Oh, we found an enter key. Okay, so not there. And then number 25 is the hover cam. And we found the Chromebook. And there's a projector. So it works just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'll just briefly show you each of them right there. Okay, there's your hover cam right there. There's your Chromebook. And let's see. Backspace button, enter key. There's an Elmo projector, the Wi-Fi symbol, and in the board there is a wild card that if you match the wild card, and it's an automatic match. And what I would do before each game is on the second slide, it shows you where everything is. I would make a copy of that, and that way, if somebody calls out one that's a wild card, you can open up the remaining box that would be the match, and that way it's off the board. So that's how it works. You would reveal it like that. So the team that gets the most matches would win the game. And if you remember on the game show, there used to be a rebus puzzle that would be there for the contestants to solve. And I was not able to make the slideshow to where it would turn the square and reveal a piece of the puzzle. I had to use PowerPoint to make this much of it work. So I've this puzzle behind these squares right here, and you can just click your down key, and there's the rebus right there. And you could give the contestants X amount of time to solve, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. So if you look at this puzzle right here, this is one from the show, and see if you can figure that puzzle out. You just go by the pictures and put it together. So if you're not sure what it is, we first see a bat with ting, bat ting, a, and then you have th, and then a house, and the ampersand, batting 1,000. And there's the answer to the rebus right there. So the winning team can get the bonus of solving the rebus puzzle if they would like to. So that's one activity right there as an example. So we'll go back over to this other right here. And right here are the activity rules. There's links to the rules and then each of the standards. So very briefly, I'll show you a couple of the standards that we're covering in this one. And activity is, by the way, geared for third, fourth, and fifth grade. And here's the third grade standards under algorithms. We have the student will apply computational thinking to design algorithms to extend patterns, processes, or components of a problem. So they're identifying an algorithm by working around the rebus puzzle, working around to solve, okay, where did I remember seeing this object located on a board? There's an algorithm right there, a pattern that they're figuring out. So they are actually applying computer science standards in this, whether it feels like it or not. So here's a group of all the different standards for this particular activity. So if you're ever needing to verify this is what we're doing, then here you can just copy and paste the standards over there. Okay. Now, let's see. All right, let me go back to the other screen here. Presentation go. Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. Now, the next activity is based on a show called I Guess. Now, I'm going to just very briefly demonstrate this one by pulling it up as well for just straight up from my computer, but it's just like concentration. You can download the template to your computer and then open up as a copy. So the way this is similar to concentration. It's a game of memorization. What you can do is, let me open up the PowerPoint for that one as well. Let's see, it is right here. Okay, so here's how this one works. There's a board right here that shows 9 answers. 1 through 8, or there's numbers 1 through 8, and then there's an I guess box in the middle that conceals another answer. So what you do is you briefly show everybody the answers right here, give them about 10 seconds or so to memorize these locations, and then after they're done, then you put it back on the main board right here. Now, as the teacher, there's a template of questions right here on the 4th slide, and these are the questions you'll answer, and then in the answers will be in black lettering at the end. It'll tell you which box they're under. So you would ask something like, what delicious computer term did web browser programmer Lou Montulli coin to refer to information that is sent from the browser to the web server? Well, here it would be answer number 2. So if the student can remember where to call the number, they will say number 2, it'd be cookies. and that means they get a point. They would get 10 points for that one. So, but the catch is after they're done, you turn the box back over, because it also makes it trickier for the other students to remember where these answers are located. So they would just take turns calling answers on the board. And every time they get it correct when they get 10 points. Now, why is the I guess box there, you might ask? Well, the I guess box is not revealed unless they give the correct answer. But if a player sees these 8 answers, and and actually you don't show the I guess answer at the beginning. You show the first 8, but not the I guess. And if you ask a question and they don't know where, if that answer is in numbers 1 through 8, they can say, "Oh, I didn't see that one on the board. That must be the I guess box." So they can call I guess, and if they're correct, they get 20 points. So it's double the amount. So the question on that one is, what are the letters for the home row on a keyboard? And if they guess A, S, D, F, J, K, L, semicolon, they get the double the point value. So that's another example of an activity right there, is the I guess game. Okay, now back over here. And I guess also there's a links for the activity rules and all the computer science standards and so forth right there. All right, now let's go down here to the next activity, which is called nailing technology. So this one right here is for, let's see, I had that one for I believe that one was for grades 3 through 6, if I remember right. Yeah, 3 through 6. What one works is, again, just like concentration, and I guess you download this template to your computer. And let me open the game up for you and show you just how it works. Let's see. Technology. Here's the nailing technology one. So you can put it in full screen mode. Divide the class into 2 teams, and this one is also a technology review, but this one, the questions will be a little bit trickier, a little bit tougher. So you start off by saying, all right, we're going to assemble all the tools necessary to build a house. So we're going to divide the class into 2 teams, give everybody a chance to play. You can appoint a team captain to be the spokesperson for each team. And they can look on here and pick any one of the tools they want. They might say, all right, I want to pick the wrench. So you'll click the wrench. Now, according to how you've got them divided, you'll click on the team 1 question or the team 2 question. So let's click on team 1. The question is, what is an electronic text file typed on a computer called? And these are multiple choice. You have a document, an icon, or a folder, and they have to guess the correct answer. And if they do, then you can give them that tool card right there. So if they guess a document, they would be correct. And the questions are also listed on here with the activity. And when you're done with a question, you can click back and to the house right here. Now, let me go into the full screen mode for just a moment. The second slide has the full rules of the game right here. Now, there are also on slide 3 a copy of all the tools. Now, if you want to make it easier to keep track of which team has what tool, you can print out this particular slide. You can print out a couple of copies and just cut these out, and then say the team 1 got the wrench, then you could hand them a copy of the wrench card, and that way you know they have it. And you just keep on playing, and as each question is answered correctly, you can check it off. Now, the questions are right here on the last 2 slides, and they're listed under each of the tools. Like, for instance, here's the 2 questions for the hammer. Team 1's question 2 right here, and the answers are all printed right here in blue next to the questions. And that way you, as the teacher, can mark them off to keep track of it as you go. So there's just a little bit of prep ahead of time of printing these out, but everything else, all the questions are also listed here on each slide that you can read. As the teacher, you can print out these last two slides, and that way you have the correct answers and you can just quickly refer to it. But once you open the game up in full presentation mode, you shouldn't have to go back to anything else. You can just stay within it right here. Like here's team two. If you were looking for at a website and you wish to return to a previous page, you would click which button? A, refresh, B, escape, or C, back. Well, you can click back to go back to that previous one. And the first team to collect all 10 tools wins the game. And that way they can build their house. And there are rules for a tiebreaker in here if there happens to be a tiebreaker, a tie that needs to be broken within this game. Right? Pull this back up here. Righty. To the VSTE presentation. All right. Now, the next activity, oh, and there's the activity rules. And by the way, here's a couple of the standards that we would be covering in the nailing technology. Now, some of these, there won't be as many computer science standards as some, but now some of these coding activities that we're getting into, there will be a whole lot more standards covered in these particular activities. Some of them are a little simpler than others, but it just depends on what you need. So here's the standards for each grade level. Third grade algorithm and programming. Again, they're using a pattern, an algorithm to figure out answers. Data analysis is another one right here. They're drawing conclusions and making predictions based on observed data. So again, you are covering computer science standards by using this activity. And we've got them for all grades 3 through 6 right here. Righty. Back here. All right. And this next one was one that I revamped. I used this library bowling activity with my library classes quite a bit, and they loved it. And in that one, I used actual pins and a bowl and like a little plastic bowling ball, and they would roll and knock them down. Well, to make it computer science worthy, I digitized that one. And so on here, what you're doing is you can you can divide the class into teams again. And all of the questions on this activity involve using, and for this particular activity, they involve using the World Book online information source. A lot of school libraries will have access to World Book Online, or if you don't want to use World Book Online, you can adapt this activity for another database that you might carry in your school. But the idea of this one is to give the students a chance to learn how to use online databases in the school library to find the answers to the questions. Now on this one, you're dividing the class into two teams, and you'll give each team a question, and each question has 10 answers. And all of the answers to the questions were pulled, in this case, from the World Book Online resource that Washington County, the county where I work, has access to. So this teaches the students how to use verified, reliable internet sources rather than just simply Googling the answer to see if they can find it. This is saying, okay, we're going to use a database that is proven Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Is everybody? I hope everybody's still there. We that was operator error. I've clicked on the wrong Wi-Fi, and hopefully now we've got everything back in place. And oh yeah, and share the screen here. Let me make sure we're doing that. Okay, I think we're back now. Okay, all righty. Nothing like some audio difficulties, huh, folks? Years ago, I worked in radio and TV, so this kind of thing happened. I guess whenever it did, you just kind of roll with it. That's part of it. Okay, now hopefully we've got everybody back on here. So let me pull this back up here. We were on the library bowling activity. That's right. So I was just doing a quick demo of that activity. Let me pull that one up here. Again, I'm just pulling it up straight from the computer. Is that still sharing on the screen like it's supposed to? Okay. So you have the main screen here has the 10 bowling pins. Now, ahead of time, as the librarian or the teacher, you might, okay, and here are the rules of the game. So again, you divide the class into two teams, and then you give each team a question. So you can copy the questions ahead of time. And what you do is you'll say, all right, team one, your first question is name 10 of the U.S. presidents. Team two, you will name 10 of the first ladies of the United States. Now, they must use the World Book online resource to find the answers. You can give them 5 minutes or however long you think that the activity needs to run to go and look their answers up. And then they will use their devices, a Chromebook or a computer in the library, to look these answers up on World Book online. And then when they have the answers, they come back and then they'll tell you the answers. And then you can find the answers to the questions on these slides right here. And I wrote down all 46 of the president, 45 of the presidents, and then you can verify the 10 that they give you. Same thing on the first ladies. You can verify all the answers right here. And then as each team gets them right, you will give them points. And then after they complete the first question, what they do is um, however many of the 10 answers they give, then on the bowling pin screen, you just click and the pins will be knocked down according to how many answers they give out of 10. Say, for instance, one team only gets 7 out of 10, well, they get 7 points. Now, if a team knocks down, gets all 10 points, they knock it down, that's a strike, and that's worth 20 big points. So that's how the game operates right there. There's no spares in this game, so it's either an all or none thing, or however many pins you can knock down. But anyway, that's how the library bowling activity works. And then again, there's a list of the activity rules, the computer science standards that are covered in there. And again, this one right here is for grades 3, 4, and 5. There's a lot of algorithms and then data and analysis standards that are covered in this particular activity. All right. All righty. Now let's move on to the next one here. All right. Now, this next one here is one of my favorites to play with my students, and my students have loved this one. This one is really good for geography review and to see what, if you know or recognize places in the world just based on video that's taken right in the heart of a city. So this activity is called City Guesser. Now, this one you can play for grades 3, I think it's grades 3 through all the way through high school. You could play this with a wide variety of students. Now, the City Guesser one is actually online, so you can go to this website, virtualvacation.us/guess, and it will take you to the City Guesser website. And City Guesser has some different levels that you can look at. You can choose to go to places. Well, let's just go to the City Guesser website. So I click on that link in the presentation, and here's City Guesser's website right here. Now, you can choose to look at places anywhere in the world. You can limit to just the United States. You can go to Europe. There's even one here for monuments in the world. And there's one for Canada and Russia, the United Kingdom, France, Asia. There's all kinds of them, just depending on what kind of a review you want to do. There's lots of them. And then there's more down here under See All Maps. So let's just, for fun, I'm just going to start big and we're going to do a worldwide one. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go here under Guess. Now you can, this is how it works. When it comes up, there will be a video of somebody walking in a particular town or city somewhere in the world, depending on your age group and how comfortable they are. Starting with the world one there is a pretty big one. And so I would save that one for your more advanced group. If your kids are in the lower grades, you could stick to things like the United States and maybe monuments and see about it. But the idea is you just keep watching the picture right here and you just observe everything around you. And I always would tell my students, look for signs, look for landmarks, look at like in this case, look at the trees. So we're seeing a lot of palm trees in this one right here. So this must be a warm place. Must be somewhere maybe further south because it looks like it's pretty warm. And we just saw a man in the picture there in the video, and he was wearing shorts and t-shirts. So it must be a pretty warm day here. You can try to look at signs, look at license plates on cars, anything that might show you a clue. There's a stop sign, but we don't know what language it's in. But you can let your students join this activity and they can play as individuals. You can team them up in groups and play. All right, so the stop sign is in English. So chances are this could be somewhere in the United States or Canada, possibly. There's people on a bicycle. And you can let people look for, you can set a limit on here. You can have them look for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, and just enough to let them get a feel for it. Now, when they're ready to make a guess as to where this location is, then they can click on the map over here. Let me see if I can find the map over here. I believe it's over on the side somewhere. Got several things up on the screen here. Let's see. Oh, it's down here at the bottom where it says start guessing. So when you're ready to make a guess, of course, here you see some signs over in here. Okay, there's a United States, I think that's a U.S. flag right there, but I couldn't see what flag was under it, so it might give you a hint as to what state it's in. Okay, here's another sign coming up right here. Let's see where that is, what that says. All right, there's a dentist office. I didn't see a phone number, so if you know your area codes, it might even be a good hint right there. Well, I'm just going to click Start Guessing. All right. So what it does is it brings up the map, and what your students can do is they can, on their devices, they can zoom in on wherever they want to go. So I'm going to guess this is in a southern state, maybe like California or Florida, maybe because of the palm trees. So I'm going to zoom in. You can keep zooming in on it if you want to zoom in and select a particular city. The idea is to see who can guess the closest to where they are. I'm just going to go ahead and guess Orlando, somewhere close to it. And you can zoom in even more. And if you happen to be lucky on a sign on this and see an intersection of signs, you could even zoom in on the map to that location and get it. So I'm going to click guess. So it'll tell me the green is the actual location. The red is what I guessed. So it'll tell you how far you are off. So I'm 128 miles off right here, well, which is not too bad. Turns out we're actually up here. If you zoom in at one of the beaches right up here, close to Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, so not too far from Jacksonville, Florida. And then once you're done with that one, you can click next and it goes on to a next one. And occasionally you run into that problem where there's not enough video. So if it does that, you can go out and select another one. So that's the city guesser activity and how that one works right there. And I'm going to go out of that one, Close a few of these off right here. All right, let me pull this back up. Whoops, get it on full screen. Lost my cursor for just a moment. Let's see. There we go. All right, and there's the activity rules for City Guesser, and there's a link right here, virtualvacation.us/about, that will show you some general information about City Guesser and how it works. And again, here's the computer science standards by grade level. And again, this particular activity, you're using a lot of data and analysis, but as you can see, um, we have different ones for grades 3 through all the way in 12th grade. So if you ever need to verify your standards, here they are. All righty. All right, typing.com, our next activity. Now, I used this one a lot of times with my third grade students. And when they first asked if I could do a keyboarding class, they wanted me to start with third grade. And I found that typing.com works very well because it has a variety of activities built in that the students can use. Now, you can create this for free. And by the way, City Guesser is free as well. Typing.com is free, and you can go through different types of beginner, intermediate, and advanced typing exercises. And I always start with third grade. I do not recommend this for students below third grade because my students used Chromebooks, and the Chromebook keyboards are smaller than your standard laptops and your PCs in your computer labs. And it worked for students to be able to put their hands to do the correct hand placement, because in typing.com, you do learn where to put your fingers on the keyboard. It's not just hunt and peck. This is actual, okay, we're going to use the home row, put your left hand on ASDF, your right hand on JKL semicolon, and then they learn proper keyboard, how to do it. So I'm going to go into typing.com right here and just briefly show you how it works. All right. So I had all my classes set up in here, and so the way that, of course, you can do it under the dashboard, you can look and see under assignments, you can see what kinds of tutorials there are, and then under the curriculum, you can look at the different keys right here. Now, they do have a few lessons in here for lower grades. So if you have students in lower grades, they will likely not be able to do the correct hand move positions because their hands are not quite yet developed big enough to be able to use a full keyboard. But if you have typing tests, you can look up here at some of the other activities. Okay, now here's a more advanced one. This one right here is where you would just have the students type what they see on the screen. Let's see. Let's pull this back up here. There's different kinds of activities on here where you can give out badges for your fastest typers, your most active typers. And this particular activity can be one that you can lead, and you can also have it student led. Now, I've done it both ways. And I would work with the students on each activity, and we would start with basics, and I would explain the correct hand position and have them practice, and I would walk around the room and make sure that they were putting their hands on the correct keys. And so as you get more advanced, you can give out badges for your fastest typers. And when students would complete a certain amount of activities, there were games in there that they could have for little brain breaks to take a break from it. And I would give the kids chances to use those as a reward for completing so many of the activities. All right. So that's typing.com, and that one is good for grades. Well, it has some on there for kindergarten, but I would say for the most part, you can use it for students grades 3 through about 8. And even in high school, if you wanted to, you could use this particular activity to teach keyboarding. Right. Back over here. Get back over here in full screen mode. Seem to have lost my cursor. There we go. Cursor disappeared on me. Okay. And there's the typing computer science standards right here. And here again, the students are doing algorithms and programming because they are learning a sequence of patterns. And an algorithm is basically a pattern, a sequence of events that the students must figure out. So a lot of your computer science standards are being met just simply by problem solving, figuring out patterns on a day-to-day basis. So more people are using computer science standards in the classroom than they realize just by doing, and you don't even have to be doing these activities. You can be doing just a regular everyday activity in language arts or math, but you're using computer science standards whether you realize it or not. And that's a good thing. Then that leaves no doubt where things are that you're doing exactly what they want you to do in the state. All right, now this one, code.org, is a collection of different types of coding games and activities, and this one is free, and I would get my kids on here to try different ones. So we'll go to this studio.code.org/courses. And this one is good for students in grades 2 through about grade 12. There's all kinds of beginner, intermediate, and well, and there are some for lower grades, actually all the way down to kindergarten. Now, I tended to use it more for my kids in grades 2, 3, 4, and 5, as I did elementary technology. And but yes, again, there are things on here for more advanced. So let's look under the learning for ages 5 through 11. Now, there's all kinds of activities on here. You can get started with Hour of Code, which I did a lot of Hour of Code for the lower grades. And here's different activities. And again, this shows you what grade level. And what the kids will be doing right here is they will be learning how to figure out patterns to go from point A to point B. There will be some of them where they could be doing blocks in a game and doing block coding. Now, one of them we used was Minecraft Hour of Code. So let me show you a quick example on this one right here. So we did the Minecraft Adventurer. So we're going to get started. There's also a lesson plan under each one, which is really handy. If you need a pre-made lesson plan, here it is right here. Okay. Now, right here, it will show the student progress. So if you're starting with level 1 right here, pull that up. And some of these will have videos that you can play to show the kids basically how it's done. I'm not going to play the video, but the videos tend to be anywhere from maybe 1 to 2 to 3 minutes in length, and it basically will explain how you're going to do this activity. Now, you can use these, or you can just do the explanation yourself. Now, your students can choose a character. They can be Steve or they can be Alex. So now the first activity, it says right here to add a second move forward block to reach the sheep. Okay. So once you do that, you just click OK. And it'll tell you right here that when you do once you complete the task, you hit run to actually do it. All right. So I'm going to close that out. So we'd said to do another move forward right here to reach the sheep. Now here's Steve right here. right in there. And then here's the sheep right here. Now you can see that it's two blocks that separate Steve from the sheep. And right here, it says when run, when I hit run, it's going to move forward 1, 2, and then Steve will reach the sheep. Just like that. Now I've got the sound muted on here, but it does make a little sound to let you know that it is working. All right, so once the first puzzle is completed, you can continue, and the student has written 2 lines of code. Now we're on level 2. So right here it says wood is a very important resource. Many things are made from it. Walk to the tree and use the destroy block command to chop it down. All right, so here's Steve right here. If you look, there's the tree right there that he's got to chop down. All right, so how many blocks is it between Steve and the trees? If you can really look closely here, there's 1, 2. All right, so now let's say, for instance, I only put 1 block. It says move forward. Okay, and then I hit run. Well, all he does is move 1 block. And it said, not quite, you have to use a block you aren't using yet. So I'm going to reset it. So he only got forward 1, so he said, okay, let's move 2. If you hit run, okay, he made it to the tree, but you know what? I didn't tell him to chop it down. So it'll remind you right here, not quite, you have to use a block you aren't using yet. So if the students get stuck, if they're having problems with it, there are hints on here. They can click the light bulb and get a hint for it, or you can work with them and help them out. So this activity is one that can be teacher-led or it can be student-led, depending on how comfortable your students are with it. Now, I'm going to put a destroy block on there, and we're going to reset it. Let's do this right. See? He moves forward 2 steps and he chops the tree down. And there we go. So this is very basic coding, but the kids loved it. When I tried this out with the students, they ate this up. They could not wait each week to come back in to come in there each day and come in there to use this activity. So again, that is code.org. And there's the website embedded right here within the slideshow. So you can go straight to that. And here are the computer science standards that are being used. Now, the students are doing a lot of the computer science standards are being met in this one. So this is actually for kindergarten through 12th. So I've got standards all the way back to kindergarten, where under algorithms, the students are identifying attributes of a set of objects. They compare 2 objects, list what attributes they have in common. The students are doing this sort of thing when they are saying, oh, well, there's the tree right here. Oh, that's Steve. Oh, that's Alex. They're moving. Oh, there's a rock. So they're identifying different things within the activity. And by the same course, if you come up to, say, 4th grade, well, they're doing algorithms and process. They're describing algorithms. They're testing programs that consist of sequencing, loops, variables, things like that. See, they're meeting all kinds of the computer science standards just by doing this simplified coding. And like I said, there's more complex activities in code.org than these right here. So you can go all the way up to high school in this one, middle and high school as well. All righty. Now, another one that is good is for grades 2 through 8. I think this one is Blockly coding. And this one is a series of 8 activities, and it's free. It's all web-based. You don't even have to log into it right here. Now, one thing I should note is that these free activities, you can create logins, but now on Blockly, I don't remember if there was a login on this one or not, because my students didn't use a login for it. So if you don't have a login, it will not remember your progress. Okay, so just remember, if you don't have them log in and you just use the web-based free without any kind of an account, it will not keep their progress from day to day. Okay, so let me click on Blockly and show you this one. So like I said, there's 8 different activities right here. I'll clear the data right here so that we're starting fresh. So you start over here with the puzzle and go through maze, bird, turtle, movie, music, pond tutor, and pond. So we're starting with the puzzle. Very basic on this one. We're matching the name of the animal with their picture. It says for each animal, you attach its picture, choose its number of legs, and make a stack of its traits. Okay. So here are all of the animals right here: a bee, a cat, a snail, and a duck. So you're going to put the picture with the right one. And what you're doing is you're moving blocks and just simply attaching them right over here. There's the bee, there's the cat, and then you just have to put down what trait they have. And each one of these will have a couple of traits, okay? So forth. So right there, we know a bee has honey. We know it also has a stinger. Cat has whiskers. Or a snail has a shell and it's also slimy. Cat will have fur. Duck will have beak and also have feathers. All right. Now let's check our answers. Oh, you know what? Look, 4 blocks are incorrect. The highlighted block is not correct, so we have to keep trying. So what did we forget? Well, we said in here that you also have to choose how many legs they are. So if you notice, I didn't select how many legs are in each one of them. All right, so a bee, well, a bee's an insect, so they'll have 6 legs. Cat, 4 legs. Snail, no legs. Duck, 2 legs. So I got all 16 correct. All right, so then we're ready to move on to the next one. Now, this maze puzzle right here was really fun because here you get to move some blocks to move from point A to point B. So in this first one, we're stacking a couple of move forward blocks together to reach the goal. So we've got one move block right here already. Now, your middle column is where you can get your stashed blocks from. See, there's an unlimited amount. So if we move forward, now we're not needing to turn left or right because it looks like we're just going a straight line. So let's just hit run. And we got that one. And we've solved the level with 2 lines of JavaScript. And we're ready for level 2. Now here, we're going to do a little bit of a maneuver to get up here to the little dot. Now if you notice, we have to move forward and then we have to turn. Now, this part for students could sometimes be tricky because this is also a good review of their directions, your left and your right. And so I'm going to move forward and then I'm going to turn left because I always would tell the students, if you're coming from this direction, try to visually turn it to where you're looking forward. And if I come to this intersection, am I going to be going left or am I going to be going right? So he's going to go and turn left, and then he has to move forward again. And then we have to make, up here, we have to make a right turn. So let's just try that and just see what happens. It's run, turns. But you notice I didn't tell it to move forward to reach the end goal. So we did not get it completely right, so I need to add another move forward on here. And you can move these around too if you ever need to. You can just, they will move around very freely. So we're going to move and boom. And the neat thing is, while it's doing that, you can watch the coding light up each block as it does it. All right, now this gets trickier. So we only have 1 block left. We have one in place, so we can only use 1 block. So what are we going to do? We've got to move forward and turn. We don't need to turn, but it looks like it's going to take more than 1 move forward to reach the goal. But you notice we have a repeat block right here. So that, putting that in place, it's going to repeatedly move forward until it reaches the red dot. So that way we only had to use 1 block to figure it out. So the students have to think and problem solve and figure out, oh, I can only use 1 block. Well, what on here would give me that option? Well, repeat. That repeat block, you will use that one as it gets going on here. So that's Blockly games right there. And there's a bunch of activities on this one. All right. I think we only have time for maybe one more. So let me get back over here real quick. 3 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to do a very quick explanation on CS First. CS First, you can get student accounts on this one. And what I did was the students did some activities on here. Let me just show you a quick example of what one looks like very quickly. And this will be our last one. So I'm going to sign in on it as the teacher. And I'll show you one activity that the students worked on the other day under projects right here. Now this one involves more advanced coding. This is for grades 4 and up. And I used it with 4th and 5th grade classes. Now on this one right here, we had a character dialogue story, and the class, the 5th grade class, did some dialogue on their math. Actually, this was 4th grade that did this. So right here, I'm going to make it full screen, and when I click the flag up here, these students carried on a conversation. Hi, Devin, did you see how the moon was shaped last night? Hi, Abby, yeah, it looked like a really cool constellation. It looked like a trapezoid. That's awesome. I want to stargaze again tonight. And he says, I have a new telescope. We can look for other shapes in outer space. And then a new character moves in. He says, hi, guys, I saw a galaxy last night. It looked like a giant oblong wheel. So they all agree, let's go stargaze. But the students put this activity together to show that they were learning geometric shapes in their class. And all of it was done by using the CS First coding program that's right here. All right, I believe we've about run out of time. So did anybody in the chat have any questions that we know of? Okay. All righty. Well, let me go to the end right there. There is my website for some technology resources and technology tutorials, and it's on this slideshow. And if anybody has any questions, if anybody would love any more resources, you can check out my website right here, which is called Mr. Baber's Technology Resources website, or you can email me at dbaber@wcs.k12.va.us. Thank you all so much for attending today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.